Veritas, everyone, with honor, respect, and gratitude, integrity, discipline, and action. Welcome to Flowers and Frequency. Happy Monday! Happy New Week! I am Lauren of the Sun, and I am here to share with you information about the flower kingdom, about flowers in general, through what I've learned over the last 3 decades being a florist, but also as I've stepped into this understanding of truth and understanding of healing capacity that the flower realm has to offer us. And just my insight and the information that comes forward through my experiences and my connection and meditation with the flowers. And tonight, we are going to go into a different understanding of the flowers that we engage with regularly, sometimes daily, not just the flowers that we engage with in our gardens, specifically what is going on within the cut flower industry. And this is an opportunity for us to really expand ourselves and to gain clarity, because when we have clarity, we can have coherency. And this is something that we are striving to have more of in our experience so that we can see the truth, that we can be the solutions and implement the appropriate changes in our experience to call for that in so many different facets. And that can start with the flowers. So we are interconnected with all things. This is something that we share here at OfTheSun and Lakesh and Veritas. It is a greeting. It is the greeting that we started our session with tonight. And Lakesh is oneness, an understanding that I see in you what I see in me. And Veritas is this literal translation of truth. So when we say Lakesh and Veritas, we greet you with the frequencies of oneness, recognition, and truth. So this is an opportunity for us to all move deeper into this experience tonight, to reveal these hidden truths, the story that is within that bouquet that you see at the grocery store, and really dive deeper so that we can become one with the understanding of what the flowers are experiencing. Before we begin tonight, though, we do have some brief announcements. Just want to share some happenings here at OfTheSun. Everything is listed in the description for today's live stream, so you may check that out. If you're interested, we have our weekly lineup of events, all free and available for you to raise yourself up in frequency and be inspired to make shifts and changes in your knowingness and your day-to-day lives. We have every Monday Flowers and Frequencies with myself, Lauren of the Sun. We have Wednesdays, Lakesh Studio One, Diane of the Sun, bringing forth midday meditations, an opportunity for us to expand ourselves into stillness and understanding and extra energy to help us move throughout our day, and working with the mudras, our hands. These are actions and activations through the energy meridians of the body to help us move through certain things that we are working through. We have Thursdays, the Call for the Truth podcast with Laota and Tavares. This is an opportunity to discuss real life experiences and topics and situations, and ask for the solution in truth to come forward to help us go deeper in our clarity and our coherency. We've been working with the OfTheSun tenets, so we've been moving through these understandings of how to really allow these to become part of our practical application in our lives. So that's coming up again on Thursday. And then Fridays, we have our rotation with Lakesh Studio One, Diane of the Sun bringing us Evolutionary Book Club, Divine Nation, Call for the Truth card readings, and the Quantum Light Property Clearing Chronicles, which is held on the fourth Friday of every single month. And that is with Tavares of the Sun, Tiffany of the Sun, Diane of the Sun, and myself, sharing stories and experiences that we've had through the modality of quantum light property clearing. We have over 4 decades of joint experience and real life situations working with this modality, and really bringing this forward in a storytelling fashion to help us all understand and feel into those frequencies of just what quantum light property clearing is. So this is all free and available to you to lean into, and we have a few classes coming up this month. In July, we have the Luminous Life Method with Laota of the Sun. This will be starting next week. It will run on Tuesdays for 3 weeks consecutively, and we also have the Energetic Protection and Defense class, and this is led by Tavares of the Sun, which will be held on Thursdays for 3 weeks consecutively. Both have links in the description, so if you're interested, you may check that out and register on the OfTheSun website. So many things happening and lots to engage with. But tonight, shall we call for the truth? Shall we call for the truth within the flower realm, the understanding of what we are here to bring forward? We are also in the light body movement. This is also something that is happening at OfTheSun. This is something that happens weekly, and we are able to connect collectively and come together and activate our light bodies, our chakra centers, and allow ourselves to move into greater clarity of really turning it up in our experiences, to shine bright, to be that luminosity that we were designed to be in our divinity. And right now, we just started a new cycle. We are in the third phase of light body movement, and we're in the root chakra. So back to the beginning. And very fitting, what comes forward from the flower realm this evening is this understanding of going to the root. Going to the root, to the beginning, to have the understanding, because when we get to the root of something, we gain that clarity. We gain that understanding of the why. And then when we have that clarity, we can make the changes that are necessary in order for us to illuminate the rest of our experience. So I just want to share, I don't have them in the background, but I am bringing forth two different flowers to join in the session. These are locally grown here in Wisconsin. Fernabelle Acres, one of my favorite flower farms. And they grow with nature in mind, really supportive of the flowers. And we have sweet peas and lavender who are here joining with us today. So we may lean into their energies and their support as we allow ourselves to really call for the truth. So here we are. We're in the root chakra, in the root experience. And so we're going to bring forward information tonight, understanding of the flowers and frequency. And we have just celebrated, we are in a collective experience of the frequency of freedom. We've just celebrated this energy as a nation, a collection, a collective of calling forth independence. And so that was the inspiration of what the flower realm brought forward when I was in meditation with them. What is it that we would like to know? What do you want us to go deeper into? What should we share? And it was this understanding of freedom. Because all of us, in some respect, is looking to be free from something, to call for sovereignty, and to regain truth and restoration to our divinity. So the flowers bring forward this understanding of to be free. And so we will share just what is happening within the cut flower industry. So they have a story. Of course, we all have a story, but the flowers have this wonderful story, and I'm going to share a little bit of what I know and what I have learned over my years as a florist and working with the flowers to share that with you to give more insight. So the global cut flower market or industry is massive. This is now on a globe, we're talking global here. On that level, it is a $40 billion industry annually. That is huge, okay? So the United States makes up for almost a quarter of that percentage. And this is just cut flowers. We're not talking about plants. We're not talking about produce. We're not talking about farming in any other capacity other than just cut flower industry. Right? And so the main hubs for this are on a global, of course, platform. We see the mass production of cut flowers done primarily in South America, and this is Colombia and Ecuador for the most part. We see the majority of all roses are grown and imported in from South America, many other blooms as well, but this is the main hub. And then the Netherlands, so in Holland, there is a massive distribution center as well. And then in Africa, Canada, Mexico, they're all contributing to these top markets and America. So there are all of these facets. There are more, but these are really the main contributors. Conventionally grown flowers are extremely, vastly different than what you would consider organic or naturally, sustainably grown flowers. So conventional, I like to look at it from this perspective. Conventional equals control. Natural equals nature. So if we look at these understandings and looking what conventionally grown flowers are, these are mass produced. They're grown with chemical pesticides and synthetic fertilizers to maximize production. So this is fast, this is force, this is control. This is also a higher carbon footprint if we look at it from that perspective, because they are usually imported. So we have all of these aspects from their process and their journey to just get to the location of where they're going, but also the plastic, the papers, the products that they're shipped in, the fuel, all of this. This is contributing to the conventionally grown understanding of flowers. Now we look at organic or sustainably grown. This is really the understanding that the flowers are cultivated without synthetic products, chemicals, relying on more natural compost, crop rotation. We also look at biological pest control. So this is more in harmony with the rhythm and the cycle of Mother Nature, and taking that into mind and consideration. This is also considered slow flower growth, meaning we are not putting at the forefront of the understanding of the flower production force to make them grow exponentially quicker than designed. This is allowing the flower to work with the elements that of nature, from the sun and the water and the energy of our connection with them, right? And it is also a much more lower carbon footprint because these are regional or locally grown, and we see these a lot at farmer markets and collectives within co-ops in our local markets. So that is more of that understanding of natural nature understanding base. And so we're going to paint, this is kind of the picture to help you understand what the difference is between the two. And now we're going to kind of paint the picture of how the process is in each. So this is what the flowers wanted to share. So if we're working with nature, we can visualize this, because when we can visualize this and feel into the experience, we gain more coherency, and that is really unique to each of us. And so we can feel into the truth through our own unique expression by hearing and visualizing the knowingness of what's actually taking place. So let's start with nature, because nature or naturally grown flowers are accessible to all of us. All we need to do is literally step outside our door, and we can be in a garden, whether that's a public garden or flowers growing on the street or in parks or just even in our own backyard. This is accessible, and we can watch this grow. We can engage in it. It is very relatable to us. And so most of these flowers start from seed. It meets the earth, so it is embedded in the soil. This is the womb of the mother. It is then informed by the consciousness of the sunlight, Father Sun, and then the water element from the rain. And so these are all the natural elements that take place to inform the consciousness that is housed within the seed to produce the flower, right? So it sprouts then, it develops, the stem grows, it buds, and it blooms, right? And then it awaits the pollination from the pollinators to come forward and produce more of itself. And this is the natural order. It drops its petals, it produces the fruit, or it produces the seed, and those can be harvested then, and the cycle then repeats itself over and over and over again. This is the natural order. And so the intelligence of nature really knows how to nurture the flower with what it needs, and the flower knows how to call for what it needs in order to produce more of itself. So it can then repeat the cycle as we just talked about. So it is quite a magical experience when you lean into the understanding and you work with it, right? So if you've ever had that experience where you've planted a seed or just even a plug of a flower, whatever that might be, or a plant, a clipping or a cutting, and watched it grow and propagate it and cultivate it in the natural way, it is such a beautiful experience. You connect with it, you watch it develop. And it is inspired and informed through all the consciousness that also inspires and informs life to produce within us. We are part of its experience. So we can see the truth through the flower realm and how it develops in us as well. We need air to survive. We need water. We need the earth. We need the fire of the sun. All of these elements are integral to our experience, and we share that. This is the En Lakesh. This is the oneness, right? So this is the natural process of the growth of flowers and plants. Now let's move a little bit into the understanding and the knowingness of the conventionally grown flowers. I want to share a video, because before I go into the whole story of of the information. The video will help us have visuals and understandings of what is actually taking place, and then we'll backtrack and kind of go through each step. So I'm going to share a video that I have here for us to engage with. So just one moment as I get this set up.
Want to see one of the most toxic things that we're bringing in your home? And I'm in Whole Foods, and it's not food. Flowers. Believe it or not. There's more and more studies on roses in particular, but flowers in general loaded with pesticides. The moment you start bringing them around your house, it's off-gassing. I mean, think about it. You smell the flowers, but you're also getting exposed to all the chemicals. Oh, and then guess what people do? This is what they do with the roses. Here, honey. And then they breathe it right in, pesticides straight into the brain. Yeah, not a good idea. One pesticide, glyphosate, opens up the blood-brain barrier and allows other chemicals to move into the brain. Not a good idea.
Flower workers wear protective suits because cut flowers are soaked in pesticides, fungicides, and preservatives before shipping. Those chemicals stay on the petals into stores and homes, so smelling long-lasting flowers may also mean inhaling chemical residue.
The majority of cut flowers travel thousands of miles before you pick them up, and it has a big impact on the environment, people, and your wallet. And here's why. The Netherlands, South America, and East Africa are the top producers of flowers, and the biggest consumer is the USA, importing over $2.6 billion worth in 2024. Cut flowers have to be kept cold in transport to put them in a dormant state. This is called a cold chain and involves a series of refrigerators on farms, lorries, planes, and boats. Around 90% of UK flowers are imported, mostly from the Netherlands and Kenya, where some airports have entire terminals dedicated to flights exporting blooms. Growing flowers is water intensive, and the heavy use of pesticides results in eutrophication, a process that happens when an environment is overwhelmed with nutrients, leading to algal blooms and low oxygen levels, which kills fish and destroys habitats. So what are the sustainable options? Buy local flowers that have been grown in that country. Support ethical growing and choose fair trade, as only 2% of the UK market for flowers and plants are grown by fair trade workers. Buy plants instead.
So we can see there are many things happening in the cut flower industry, conventional cut flower industry, many different understandings that has not been shared with the general public. Yes, this is available to all of us. Yes, it is occurring. However, it's not at the forefront of our experience. We're not shared the truth with many of the understandings, and unless you were really looking for it or actively engaging with it, you may not run into that. So I share with you my experience as a florist, that I have encountered many of these understandings, and literally and physically in my own experience years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I started developing serious issues with my hands and my skin, having lesions and rashes and open sores and wounds that were growing and up my hands and in my arms. I saw many dermatologists. Nobody could tell me what it was. It's contact dermatitis, which is basically you touched something. We don't know what it is, right? So all of this understanding, and I knew, my intuition told me there's something going on with the flowers, because I would feel it, and sometimes I'd breathe in and I could feel the heaviness in the lungs. I would get patches of irritation right here on the lower parts of my face, because when you're working 8 to 12 hours a day, every day, 5-6 days a week, intensively working with these flowers, you're in the field of that frequency. And these are the pesticides, these are these chemicals. And this is a very common understanding within the florists. I have seen forums over the years. What is this allergy? What is this? And it is really one of the intensifications of these pesticide uses. What worked for me, and I started leaning more into it, was after I had started working with OfTheSun and I became a client, I started taking salt baths. And so that is an understanding that many times is shared in our conversations with OfTheSun, is that we have DNA salt, and this is the primordial clearer. Salt is given to us as a gift from the mother to help clear, just as the ocean with every wave is clearing itself. When we take a salt bath, we are clearing the field, clearing the body of what does not serve it, and it can release and remove the toxins that are ingested in our not only physical bodies but our energetic fields. And so this is that energy hygiene. And as I was starting to work with the consciousness of the salt and the DNA salt in particular, all of these sores and these rashes were leaving the body. It was literally as I was rebirthing myself, and it was clearing out the poisons. It's that powerful and that potent. And so then moving into this understanding of how can I release the suffering, which we're going to get into in a little bit, but that was my experience, and that was what was really drawn into my understanding. And over the years, for 30 years working with flowers, the flowers have changed in how they've been cultivated. Flowers that I did not have allergies to or sensitivities to when I first started working with them, I have now certain specific sensitivities to, because of what has been done to hybridize and also curate these flowers in a mass-produced way. And so as we call for the truth and we call to resonate in the truth and be restored to the truth, something that is not truth is not going to be a frequency match. It's going to interfere with your experience. And that is information coming forward to help us understand and gain the clarity and the knowingness of what we can do to be part of the solution. So as we saw in this video, the first thing that we saw was in Holland. And so we're going to get into that a little bit, but this was the process of showing you the facilities in Holland and how many people, how many boxes, how many energies are in this facility. This facility is the size of over 100 football fields put together. 43 million blooms move through this facility in one day. One day. It's that big. And so you could see all of the workers, you could see the hand trucks, you could see the boxes, you could see the conveyor belts, you could see the auction rooms, you could see the tourists that come through and watch and visualize this. You could see the planting rooms, you could see the people spraying chemical paints to get the color just right for whatever is needed, right? You could see and lean into the pesticides that were applied. You could feel into the hazmat suits. Think of it from that perspective. The workers have to put on hazmat suits to apply chemicals to a living product. It doesn't feel right. So all of this was painting the picture. And so let's go back to the beginning. Let's get to the root. Let's get to the seed. So conventionally grown flowers, many of the seeds that are used in mass-produced conventional flowers are hybrids, meaning that they're a crossbreed, right? And so they will produce a seed. However, it is unknown what that seed will yield because it is hybridized. It is very commercial. So this could mean that it could produce something. It could produce a mutant. We don't know what it will bring, right? And so that is what happens when you have a hybridized seed. It could produce more of the same of itself. We just don't know. The other thing that is used, and this is something I want to talk about because this is not talked about regularly, is the genetic modification of the flower. And this is done through hybridization as well. This is done through crossbreeding. This is done in labs. This is a very common understanding in the cut flower world, the commercial cut flower world. what they do is they sterilize the flower. And what this means is we see this a lot in double bloomed flowers, so commonly ruffled or garden variety roses, peonies, freesia blooms, things that have a very high petal count and look very ruffly. During the hybridization process, what they do is they strip the flower's ability to use their reproductive organs. And this is the pistil and the stamen. This is what is naturally designed within the flower that is exposed for pollination, for the pollinator to come in and for it to reproduce itself. So during the sterilization, there is a genetic mutation that occurs, and that pistil and the stamen, they morph into other petals. So they are removed. They are literally removing through the sterilization process the reproductive anatomy of the flower so that it cannot reproduce more of itself. Why? What is the reasoning behind this? In their world, the reasoning behind this is that it will slow down or halt the process that the flower is intrinsically designed to do. The flower is designed to bloom, to open, to expose itself, to have its reproductive anatomy present to the pollinator for it to come in and produce more of itself. And in that process, what it does is it sheds its petals. But the commercial cut world doesn't want that to happen because they want the flower to last longer. They want it to have a longer vase life. So in theory, the understanding is if we remove the reproductive anatomy, we intrinsically remove the organic process for it to trigger the reproduction mode, and it will stop that. It will not open up fully quickly. It will not drop its petals. The truth is, I don't know how many times I have actually purchased or had flowers in my experience where they still do that. they are so filled with suffering that they do not last longer. So this is really a man-made form of enslavement, manipulation, control, greed. It's really it's anti-life. And so this is a process that is not really shared with many people. And that was something I really wanted to bring forward because that is important that we know what the flower is experiencing, what it is going through, right? Anything in this industry along that understanding is literally taking or siphoning away its natural birthright through the manipulation. So that was something I wanted to share. But let's talk about its journey. We saw a little bit about this in the video as well. Imported flowers make up 80 to 85% of the fresh cut flowers in the United States annually. So we are literally importing almost 85% of our flowers. The other percentage, 15 to 20%, those are domestically grown. 90% of these move through the Miami International Airport. And so what happens, let's go through the process. They are forced to grow at increased rates. The truth is there should be no force in source. That is the law. But what are we doing here in this industry? It is forcing the flower to grow exponentially at a rate much more quicker than it is designed to do. And this is how we do get mutations, and we do get abnormalities, and we do get many that are just discarded because they're not considered beautiful or they're not considered sellable, desirable. And so now we've mass created this product, and many of them are put to the side as waste. Some are created inside labs. So some are created inside without the natural elements and artificial sunlight inside buildings. Some are still created outside in the earth. But when they are used and created that way, there is an extreme amount of pesticide use. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the pesticide use because it is very different than the pesticide. Some is the same, but it is intensified and very different than the pesticide that is used on our food supply. Why? Because the flowers are not considered consumable. And so this is incongruent as it is, because we know that exposure to any form of toxin is a form of consumption. So whether or not we're eating it, if we're smelling it, if it's in our homes, if we are the one packing it, cleaning it, preparing it, designing it, it's in our field. So these frequencies, one of the images that was shared in the video was florists. They did tests and studies. Over 8 different pesticides were found in the bodies of floral designers from just working with the immense amount of flowers through Valentine's Day. That's just 8 that they tested. And there's so many more that are available, that are present, that they just weren't looking for. So we are exposed to these. The workers are exposed to these. The florists are exposed to these. These are all the chemicals. It contaminates the water supplies for so many communities in those countries, in Colombia, in Ecuador, in Kenya, all of these countries that rely on main water sources for bathing, for drinking, for cooking, and they're contaminated with the runoff, this agricultural runoff from these pesticides. And so now these communities are in suffering because they're drinking and being exposed to these chemicals and these pesticides, right? Something else that came forward was this process of eutrophication. And this is something that happens more so than we want to know, but it is very, very potent in the agricultural world. It is the process by which a body of water becomes overly enriched with nutrients. And what happens then is it causes rapid overgrowth, right, of algae. And this blocks the sunlight. So there is a barrier that is created, right? And so the sunlight can't get into the water. And so it depletes the water's oxygen supply. And in result, it starts to decay. And so what does that do? It ultimately kills off all the aquatic life that is in the water because they don't have access to the sun, they don't have access to the oxygen. And so then this creates all of this infestation to come up into the water, and it creates what they call a dead zone, basically. So here you have stagnation. It cannot get the information that it needs to cycle itself. And so one of the main contributing factors to this creation of eutrophication is agricultural runoff. And this is a massive byproduct in the cut flower industry. So here we have this happening, right? These commercially cut flowers are harvested prematurely. So they're not ready to be cut. And we see this also in the produce industry with unripened items, but they do this intentionally because they know the journey is going to be long before it gets into you, into your home. So they're packed tightly in plastic sleeves. They're overly packed in boxes. They are stored at cold temperatures outside their normal range. You're growing outside. What are the conditions? You're in the 60s to the 80s. That is the most appropriate growing temperature with the warmth of the sun. And then it cools down at night and gives the flowers a time to rest, and many of them close. And then they reopen with the consciousness and the light of the sun, but not here. In this situation, what's happening is they're being forced and they're put into 30 to 40 degrees coolers and out of water, out of nature, right? They are handled by growers, they're handled by harvesters, packers, shippers, airport crew, truckers, wholesalers, florists, supermarkets, delivery drivers, and then you. Think of all the energies and the hands that have touched these flowers. All of that is still contained within the experience and the story of how the flower got to you. So when we break this down and we look at all of these different aspects, we can see the suffering. We can see the enslavement. We can feel into what the flower is feeling. And this is just one aspect of creation. This is no different than what's happening to our food. This is no different than what is happening to our earth, to the animals, to us as humans. This is just one aspect to see the manipulation that has taken place. We have an opportunity to clear that. We have an opportunity to release that suffering. And it always can start within us. One other aspect I wanted to share that was very important is in the Netherlands, in Holland, as we were talking a little bit earlier about this facility, this massive facility. Something that happens to those flowers is they go to auction. We saw this a little bit in the video. There are these rooms and stadium style seating, right, with people with these computer screens and these massive prompters that they see the flowers, and then they're paraded on a conveyor belt and they can see these. Now, Dutch flowers have been historically known to be some of the most superior blooms in the cut flower industry, like pristine, beautiful, cultivated, right? And so what they do is they put them to bid. They're on auction. But it's very different than what we understand the auction to be. Instead of the normal understanding of an auction where it starts low and it gets higher and it raises in value, this is the exact opposite. It starts extremely high, and then the bids get lower and lower and lower and lower, basically taking the chance that if you don't get it while it's hot, right, while it's high up there, you might not get it. So you take the risk of, the buyer takes the risk of not being able to get the product that they want if they don't buy high, right? So it's a reverse effect here. And what does this frequency lean into for the consciousness of the flowers that is felt in every single one of those stems, which is a form of living creation, is devaluation. To start high and to go lower. To feel into this frequency that is then present. That is clearly there within the understanding of that auction. And so there are frequencies of that are present as well. I share all of this to paint a picture. I share all of this because we are in the frequencies of freedom. We are collectively in a space where we are calling for truth. We are here as aspects of creation that share in this experience with the flowers, and we have an opportunity to release that suffering for them as we do for us, right? And that is why I really feel the inspiration from the flower realm to bring this forward to our attention, because the more we know, the more we grow. The more we know, we can create the change, right? We have the opportunity to do something about it. The truth is beautiful. The more we ask for it and we see it, we have the clarity to do the next best thing. To make ourselves into greater aspects of ourselves. And so we can do that also for the flower realm. I want to be clear, I'm not saying do not buy flowers from the grocery store. I'm not saying that. In some respect, I'm saying, what I am saying is that you have an opportunity with those flowers to be a healer, to be a clearer, to assist them and to support them and to offer them something that they are seeking in order to restore them to truth and still engage in their beauty. I know as a florist, I still need to work with imported flowers for certain events, but every single flower that enters into my experience goes immediately on a uriel rug, goes immediately into Enlakesh and Veritas, goes immediately into Ho'oponopono with love, respect, honor, and gratitude for its consciousness, filling it with love and care. And that releases the suffering. The gratitude for the presence of its beauty, that helps release its suffering and to be a clearer, to know that I can clear those frequencies. Each one of us has the ability to clear those frequencies of devaluation, of subjugation, of enslavement, of force, of control, of greed, all of that is manipulated into the cultivation of that bloom. But we can also do that by clearing it within us. Again, oneness and truth. So we are going to move into a healing with the flower realm tonight, and it is literally going to be a meditative experience of offering Enlakesh and Veritas to the blooms. And Enlakesh and Veritas, we talked about the oneness and truth, the understanding of it. You may also, if you're not familiar with this process, it is available to you under the practices and page of OfTheSun.com. So you may go and get the appropriate words, and you may apply this to any aspect within your experience to release what is not serving you and move into greater states of exaltation. So we're going to engage in that process. Some of the other things that you can do, I just wanted to share as part of the solution that you heard a little bit in the video that was shared. You may find and source locally grown flowers. When you work, and if you have not had this experience, I highly encourage you to visit a flower farm or a U-pick farm or a farmer's market, and speak with some of the farmers that grow flowers for a living. It is a vastly different experience. You will speak to them. Many of my experiences, I'm out there. When I go almost weekly, and I pick up flowers from the farm, and they're out there in their overalls and in the heat with their water bottles, and they're in the essence of the earth, working with the consciousness of life, and they love those flowers. They have started them from the seed, and they have germinated, and then they plant them in the earth, and they watch them grow, and they care for them. They are part of the magical experience of the creation of life, and their love and their care is in each one of those blooms. And so you feel that, and you experience that every time you engage with it. It is vastly different, and when you connect with that energy, you receive part of it as well. So there are many opportunities for us to find those locations. There are collectives. I know in my experience in Chicago, Milwaukee, and Atlanta, those are areas that I'm mostly familiar with. There are flower collectives. And these are groups or co-ops of different local flower farmers that come together and have one market space where you can shop and get all sustainably, naturally grown flowers. And it is a different frequency. So there are places like this that exist, and I do know they are available in many of the larger markets as well. So I encourage you to check them out. Enjoy them. There is something called the slow flower movement, and this goes deeper into recognition of American grown or domestically grown flowers, but the idea of the slow flower movement, I want to share it just because it's something that really resonates with what we're talking about. This is not a plug for slow flower movement, but it just resonates with the truth. The slow flower movement is a response to the disconnect between humans and flowers in the modern era. It aspires to reclaim the act of flower growing, recognizing it as a relevant and respected branch of domestic agriculture. Slow Flowers connects consumers with the source of their flowers, putting a human face to the putting a human face of the flower farmer and the floral designer behind each bouquet or centerpiece. It's all about making a conscious choice. So this understanding of recognizing the human connection to the conscious act of growing, of supporting life. And that really is something I've seen. It's been around for some time now, but it encourages us to lean into this understanding of oneness and truth. And so I wanted to share that that is also available, and you can do that by sourcing out all of your local flower farmers. So now, with all that being said, shall we move ourselves into this opportunity of healing and release? And if you are in harmony and want to participate, we encourage you to do so. And shall we together allow ourselves to move into this space of oneness, move into greater connection with our bodies. We may close our eyes, and shall we breathe? Shall we breathe in the consciousness of the air? And release. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. And again, inhale for 4. And exhale for 6. Shall we allow ourselves to move into oneness with Mother Earth? Shall we move into oneness with the ancestors? Shall we move into oneness with the consciousness of the flowers? And shall we call for the truth? Shall we call to hear the truth, speak the truth, and see the truth? Shall we call for the frequencies of truth to enter into our world so that all may see and know the truth? Leaning into our connection with the consciousness of the flowers, shall we offer them in Lakesh and Veritas? We offer you the frequencies of Enlakesh and Veritas to release your suffering and be the truth. We offer you the frequencies of Enlakesh and Veritas to release your suffering and be the truth. We offer you the frequencies of Enlakesh and Veritas to release your suffering and know and be the truth. Shall we go deeper? Shall we go deeper? Shall we go deeper? Shall we go to the appropriate current level of power, to the current level deep? Shall we go before all thought? Shall we go to first cause and collapse all that follows? Shall we make this so, and so it is? Shall we send to the next mass clearing with OfTheSun all thought forms that do not serve you? All lies, illusions, delusions, myths, fantasies, and distortions. All poisons, all toxins, all chemicals. All inorganic substance. All subjugation, all limitation, all manipulation, all control and all force, all greed, all monetization and sterilization. All suffering. All dis-ease. We send this to the next mass clearing where it may grow, evolve, live, be free from its karma, so that we may move into something greater than our current expression. We do this with honor, respect, and gratitude to you. Shall we reverse and rewrite with Enlakesh and Veritas a new picture of divine reality to replace all that has been removed and replaced with right thinking? Shall we reverse and rewrite with Enlakesh and Veritas a new picture of divine reality to replace all that has been removed and replaced with right thinking? Shall we reverse and rewrite with Enlakesh and Veritas a new picture of divine reality to replace all that has been removed and replaced with right thinking? Shall we make this so, and so it is? Shall we call forth aid and support from all that is to assist in returning you to your original divine blueprint, your organic template of creation? Shall we make this so, and so it is? Lean into your oneness with the flowers, as Enlikesh and Veritas is also for you. We thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Visualize the joy, the light, the life coming back into the space, into the field. All that is creation, alive, not only within the flowers, but also within you. There is new energy. And shall we breathe this into every cell of our being, breathing in this newest experience of all that is life. And release. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Allow yourself to gently move back into your space, into your body. Slowly open your eyes when you are ready. Welcome back. That felt really good. Such a wonderful effervescence, this bubbling up of new life. To understand and recognize that we have the abilities to make a difference, to be the change that is required to start a new experience. It's the simplicity of just allowing ourselves to decide that and to move into that. There are a few thoughts that come forward from this experience. I do want to share, before we do that though, just a few of, I'm seeing some comments here in the chat and wanted to share these and honor all those who are present, those who have shared in the chat and those who are just listening. We have Enlikesh Studio One, Diane of the Sun, we have the Clearing Doula, we have Delilah Burrows, Steph of the Sun. Thank you all for your presence and for sharing in this sacred space and this experience and allowing ourselves to expand into the healers that we are, one with the flowers. We see Steph of the Sun says, wow, there is no industry that has not been infiltrated. Absolutely. We are on a shared planet. We are in a shared experience. Every aspect of creation has a form of subjugation. And we are here to bring that to the light of truth, to the awareness, to open up this awakening so that we can be the solution and clear this, to restore the light of truth. Yes, yes, yes. And the Kish Studio One shares, oh my, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Yes, this is available to us. We have, as we said, when we have the clarity, we have the coherency, we can be the change. Steph says, just what they do is smell the flowers and it directly affects our brains. Absolutely. When we take in, I've also seen, this is something very interesting, we've also been tricked because when you go out into the garden and you smell a natural flower, it is intense. It is amplified. And why? Because by divine design, it needs to be, because that is its technology calling forth the pollinators to say, come pollinate me. I'm going to open up. I'm going to be luminous, illuminated within the light of the sun, and I'm going to vibrantly show my colors, and I am going to fragrantly smell bold and bright to attract what it needs to make it reproduce. So yes, that is an extremely amazing experience, but I cannot tell you how many times I've been in the flower shop or in the studio, and over the years, the smells of flowers has changed. They have also cultivated and hybridized the flowers not to smell, because so many people have complained, oh, the lilies are too fragrant, I don't want that smell, or oh, the pollen stains my clothes. And so instead of just, cleaning the flower or allowing ourselves to move into greater oneness with it, we have complained about it. And so they have hybridized these to have no fragrance. But I have seen clients and customers bring the flower to their face and smell and say, it smells so good, but there's no smell. There's literally no smell. So we are conditioned. This is just another part of the conditioning to make us believe something that is not true. We have here DNA, Enlikish Studio and Diane of the Sun shares. DNA clearing salt baths, heart emoji. Absolutely. So one of the easiest things that you can do when you feel ungrounded or when you feel something's in the field is take a salt bath. When you move into that experience, it is clearing technology at the simplest level to allow ourselves to move back into reconnection with our bodies, with the water element, with clearing. And when we step out of that salt bath, we are rebirthing ourselves. We are emerging ourselves clean and clear from the negative debris that has accumulated in our energetic field. So absolutely, whoop, whoop, I'm with you. That DNA salt, pretty amazing. We have the clearing doula. We are truly one, our life's essence being siphoned. Thank you for the depth of this truth. Had no idea how deep this goes. Forcing our children to grow too fast, our flowers have to grow too quick, our food being grown too quick. I see how the reference of urgency and quickness is anti-life. Yes. We have been designed, and Lota has brought this forward in many different facets, that we want the fast food, we want the fast-paced experience, we want the convenience, we want the now. But when we do that, we remove the essence and the ability, the depth of the soul expression, right, of what it is that we're working with, specifically here in the flowers. It loses something. And then we have Diane of the Sun sharing locally grown flowers are the best. I too weekly go to a local flower farm and have a weekly subscription. And so, yes, there is wonderment in this. There is magic in this. There is healing in this. I thank you all for sharing in these experiences. And what I want to leave you with is something that the flower realm prompts us to experience tonight. Through all of this information, as we just engaged in Enlikesh and Veritas, knowing that we are one in oneness and truth with the flowers prompt us to ask ourselves, where do we need the healing in our lives? Where do we need a little bit more Enlikesh? Where do we need a little more Veritas? Get to the root of what keeps you enslaved. Go there. What keeps you in suffering? Go there. Give it Enlikesh. It is a part of you. If it's in your experience, it is you. You are the deciding factor and the author of your reality to be the change and make the change to be the new expression. Right? The other understanding is, where are we being devalued? Where are we being devalued in our experience? Are we devaluing ourselves? Are we allowing another to devalue our essence and our energy? And the last one is, where is there resistance to our growth? What are we resisting? What is it that we know we're supposed to be doing, but we're not doing it? Where is the resistance that's keeping us enslaved or subjugated from doing the thing that we know will bring us into glory? Go there. Call it out. That's how we find the solution, by getting that stillness and asking ourselves these questions. So we thank the consciousness of the flower realm for being here to prompt this understanding in in the forefront of our minds, so that we may be clear, that we may have understanding, that we may too be part of the solution, to be in service, to support all that supports us. This is how we make the change the world needs. This is how we step on that right timeline. This is how we allow ourselves to cultivate a new experience for not only ourselves as the human collective, but for the earth and all that is the earth shared in this creation plan. We thank the consciousness of the flower realm. We thank the ancestors. We thank all that is. We thank En Lakesh and Veritas, oneness, truth, and correction. And we thank OfTheSun for sharing in this sacred space of bringing forward the light of truth to all of humanity. It is an honor and a respect, and with great gratitude, that I'm able to share all of this with you. And may we continue to burn bright, turn up that heat, turn up that flame, go deeper, call for the truth in all things in your experience. And until then, we'll see you next week, same time, same channel. I bid you adieu. En Lakesh and Veritas, everyone. Honor, respect, gratitude, integrity, discipline, and action. Good night.